France sold Louisiana to the U.S. because of a slave revolt. When the U.S. bought Louisiana, it almost doubled in size. No wonder it was called the deal of the century. But why would France sell its North American territory? And what did Africans have to do with it? Louisiana is still named after King Louis XIV of France. It was the wealthiest territory in the French Empire. It was also the largest overseas holding of the king. Until 1682, the French ruled it exclusively. There was no United States back then. Britain conceded that Louisiana was French, but the 7 Years' War shifted the balance of power. France was defeated. It had to give up eastern Louisiana to the British. The rest was taken by the Spanish. This was Spain's compensation for losing Florida. In 1800, the secret Treaty of San Ildefonso was signed. It returned control of the territory to France. Napoleon Bonaparte had no desire to let it go, but he had no problem with Americans using New Orleans. The port was essential for the Trans-Appalachian states. Merchants used it to ship their goods down the Mississippi. The U.S., however, didn't fully trust Napoleon. They offered to buy New Orleans to secure its port. Meanwhile, the French Empire was already in trouble. In 1791, a slave revolt had swept through French Haiti. The ensuing war lasted until 1804. It was the longest slave rebellion in recorded history. It was also the most successful. The French army used brutal tactics. Rebellious slaves were summarily executed. Napoleon sent a large expedition in 1802 to quell the revolt, but the revolutionaries kept on fighting. British and Spanish forces lent some support to France, but then a yellow fever epidemic began. It decimated the French troops. Haitian voodoo priests used their religion to their advantage. The superstitious Europeans believed they were cursed. Their motivation dropped, and Napoleon was forced to give up. Haiti became an independent country. It was the only time a slave uprising created a new state. That's when the U.S. offered $10 million for New Orleans. The French said they'd be willing to go further. Napoleon had decided he couldn't hold on to Louisiana. After the Haitian fiasco, he saw no use for it. So he offered the entire French Louisiana for $15 million. The Louisiana Purchase was agreed upon in record time. Initially, the purchase was kept secret from the public. President Jefferson feared it would disrupt the deal. Americans only learned about it once the deal was done. Louisiana became a slave state. New Orleans became a hub for the slave trade. The Louisiana Purchase was not popular, to say the least. Congress opposed it, saying Jefferson violated the Constitution. The American public didn't see the point in wasting money. After all, there was already plenty of land. Louisiana was underdeveloped, swampy, and rural. However, it benefited the U.S. in the long run. The purchase was the greatest impetus for westward expansion. It also confirmed the doctrine of implied powers. Essentially, new land could now be purchased. A constitutional precedent had been set. When Alaska was purchased in 1867, there was no need for secrecy. Louisiana still has around 200,000 native French speakers.